This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional, the indie author podcast supporting not just indie authors, but indie everything around the world. I'm one of your hosts, J.A. Bryden. With me always is our resident reader, Ryan. How are we, Ryan?
I am living the dream. Even though I'm not wearing my t-shirt right now, I am living the dream.
Well, it's there on the screen.
It's been a good week. yeah, on the screen, right there. I had a very, very good week this week. Finished 2 books, which is good. I finished the lovely J.A. Bryden's prequel to his hit Ancora, which is called I Destin, which will probably be coming out a little bit later this year, which is fantastic. It gives you a lot more lore into the world, lets you flesh out a lot of the characters that we see in Ancora mentioned, and a lot of action, a lot of fighting, and a lot of love as well. There's a bit of love in there.
There's a bit of love.
Bit of love. Little bit of love with Jamie's experience in that department. And I also finished the amazing horror writer Don Campbell's Fright Manifest.
Nice.
That is a short novella that he released in August, I believe, of this year. Very, very cheap on Kindle. I picked it up, I think, for like $2. And I think it's about 152 pages or something like that. But eight characters on a flight. And let's say a lot of bad things happen to those people. Very, very good. If you're looking for a short horror read, definitely check out Don Campbell's work. He's fantastic, lovely guy. Tries to give me all these books for free, but I refuse, and I pay for them because I like to support good horror authors. Being we are in Halloween month as well, which is my favourite time of the year.
Excellent. Well, I do have a bit of announcement because my novelette, The Boy Who Slayed the Gargoyle, is out now when this episode releases. So check that out for me taking a swing at fantasy. Me trying to do fantasy. I think it worked out, but it's there. But now that I've stopped talking about me, our sponsors, Rebecca Castles and Martin Kearns, check their stuff out. You hear them every episode. You hear their ads play at the start. So check them out. Give them some support. Buy our shirts. The links are all down below. And now let's get to our guest, the one and only SS Fitzgerald. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate the invite.
Well, we wanted to work our way through the Dark Veil Society, you know. It kind of happened as an accident, but now it seems to be the norm, you know.
You know, we're slowly dominating.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when we had, I think Janelle Sheikhy was the first person we had on.
I think so, yeah.
From the Dark Veil Society, and because I'm a massive horror fan. I love horror movies, shows, books, comics, anything horror you can throw at me. I love October because it's always, every week there's a new horror movie out in the cinemas, and I go every Saturday to try and see all of them. Even the really bad ones, I still love those as well. But when we had Janelle on, she sold me on her book, The Clatter Man. I bought all 3 of her books. I read The Clatter Man, I think, a week after the interview, and absolutely loved it. And then that kind of put me on the path to discover pretty much all of the authors on the Dark Veil Society. I have pretty much all of your books, so I've got a long list to read, but I'm very, very happy we found this lovely horror society.
Yeah, and just before we jumped into the recording, Ryan, you were saying like, your favorite horror movie is Arachnophobia, right?
No, no, no. I actually have
Wow.
watched that. I've watched that once when I was little, and I can't remember much about it because I probably blocked that out in my brain. Because our listeners know how much I hate spiders, and I live
Mm,
in the country with the most deadliest spiders in the world. So,
mm.
the only exception to that is Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Don't know why. And for whatever reason, I can watch those movies, and the spiders in those movies don't freak me out. I don't know
Mm.
why.
Because
But yes,
Spider-Man's there to
no,
protect you.
yeah, he's always by my side and I'm a 43-year-old man who's afraid of spiders and cannot watch movies with spiders in it. Not even just for like one or two scenes. That Harry Potter movie, Chamber of Secrets, I could not finish it because of that big ass spider. So yes, thank you for reminding me of spiders.
That also means that you haven't finished Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
No, I did finish Lord of the Rings, but whenever that scene comes up I think it's in Return of the King, I believe, the last one.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, whenever that scene comes up, I
Leave
turn
the room.
away or leave the room. Yeah, because that's weird. It's like one of my favorite trilogies of movies, and we rewatch it at least once every 12 to 18 months, and I have to turn away for that scene. I cannot deal with that.
Do you
I'm
think
just
it's a
gonna
do
I'm
you
just gonna make
think
sure I write more spiders into this.
do you think if you put happy music over the top of it, would it change?
No, no.
No?
No, because and like I told you guys the other time you were at my house, I am slowly trying to get over my fear by exposing myself a little bit.
Mm,
So there's a lady on Facebook who has these little tiny little jumping spiders. And my wife put me onto it. She's like, you need to watch this. This will slowly get you over that fear. And I must say, she puts little cute voices to them and they're tiny and they're kind of cute. And I can watch a few of those videos, so I'm getting a little bit better
mm,
at but it's just the big and scary ones that live in our country
yeah.
that seem to always find me. And yeah, I just can't get over it.
You enjoy the
I
jumping
just,
spiders until you watch Eight-Legged Freaks, and then you see the scene with the jumping spider taking out the motorcyclist,
hmm.
and it's just
I've
going
never,
back
I've
into
never, I've never seen that movie. I never have. I've seen like I know of it, but
Mm.
I refuse to watch the trailer. I refuse to watch that movie because I mean, that's just asking for trouble for me. That's just going to give me nightmares.
Welcome to
that's what I was
Spider
talking
Therapy. Welcome to Spider Therapy podcast. No, look,
about.
we haven't even asked the first question, which is who is SS Fitzgerald?
Ah, ah, that's a complex question for a complex. I'm everybody and nobody.
Hmm.
So I am a Tallahassee-based horror author. I was originally from out west, joined the military, went around the world a couple times, came back, decided that the military wasn't a conductive lifestyle for a family, got out, wanted to start a family, stayed in Florida since then, and started my family down here. And that's also when I decided, hey, I've been trying to write a book for going on 15 plus years. I either have to stop this habit of writing and never doing anything, or I need to publish a book. And that's how I ended up writing my first book, A Full to Extinction.
Nice. Nice. Well,
Awesome.
we are going to dive into all that, but first
hmm
we have icebreaker questions, which
hmm
people seem to like. But at the same time, some of them got really political in the beginning and
Yeah,
gave us the Miss Universe answers. So we've had to
yeah.
tweak them a little bit to cater to the selfishness of people. So with the first question, I think it's my turn. I think it's
Yes,
my
it
turn.
is.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, it
Cool.
is.
We like to alternate. So keep it in mind that we don't want world peace. It's already here. Okay, we don't want, cruelty to animals because there's none. It's that kind of world. But
Except spiders. Fuck spiders.
I'm gonna wish for more spiders around Ryan.
Awesome.
Now, I know your next book's gonna just have spiders. It's gonna be called Spiders, and it's just
Mm.
gonna have a guy named Ryan attacked by spiders for like 25 chapters.
No, it'll be Ryan the spider.
Yeah. Oh God, don't even, don't even.
Anyway, with selfishness in mind, if you could get rid of one thing in the world, what would it be?
Get rid of one thing. I mean, you removed so much already, and I got really this one. Ah, man. So all the things that we would normally want to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah, like there's no war. War's gone. We've achieved world peace. No one's cruel to each other. We're all pretty nice people. There's no Karens or anything like that. No one hurts animals. All the animals are happy and loving and living. And yeah, we just kept getting people saying, "Oh, I wish for world peace," and that's noble, and I get it, but.
Yeah.
We're just about getting to know you. We want to know what your pet peeves are. So yeah, that's why we say selfish answers encouraged.
yeah, no, because I came in here like, oh, this is gonna be an easy one. I was gonna say childhood cancers. Like I grew up, no, sir, like I had a reason for answering it that
Yeah.
way, and it was I grew up near a clinic that was dedicated to
Mm.
in various different end of life situations. I
Yeah.
remember this was
Mhm.
like one that my dad, I don't know, my father had a weird way of raising me, and he took me up there several times to like, I don't know, impart a life lesson on me. It was really just a way to depress me for the entire week. And I just remember this one kid that had leukemia, and he just stuck with me like for most of my life. So now
Mm.
that I can't say that though,
No, look, I'd allow that because we've never had it before. No, it's not
No. We've got to
repetitive.
stick with. Look, that kid is now cured. He doesn't have leukemia anymore,
He
and
survived.
there's no diseases. All right, I'm sorry. I love hearing people's pet peeves, and that's really honorable, and I really appreciate you saying that. We'll have that as like your first
Pre-ramble.
answer, and now we're going to give you. We want to hear your selfish answer.
oh man, okay, this is gonna be weird, but it's the only thing I can think of right here off the cuff. I would get rid of, and for all college students, I would get rid of those requirements in the United States that would have you taking required electives. I'm not sure what else to call them. So
Mm.
when I went through college, I had to take a arts course, I had to take a gender study course, I had to take a racial studies course, and I had to take another one that satisfied like family growth or something like that.
Mm.
And when I was went through them, like they were all so like all four classes were so similar that you could just
Yeah.
take one and take the test for
Yeah.
all the others. But they required attendance. So like that was like 50% of your grade just showing up.
Yeah.
When I looked
Mhm.
back at my tuition, I was like, that's like an entire year's worth of tuition that they
Yeah.
took from me just because they have this like arbitrary requirement.
Yeah.
I have a very weird
Mhm.
belief about college, and that's like you should really only be going to college if you want to be a specialist in something. I don't feel like
Yeah.
everybody needs college.
Yeah.
I know a bunch
Mhm.
of Americans are going to hate me for this, but after going through college, that's my interpretation. And they say, well, we want you to be well-rounded. I'm like, well, you should be relatively well-rounded by the time you get to college,
Yeah.
and that's when you
Yeah.
start dedicating to like a specific course. So I would get rid of all those because it's just,
Mhm.
in my opinion, it's just a way for them to suck money out of people because they know they
Yep.
have it.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Uh,
I could not agree more. As someone who's been to university out here, which essentially is college over there, um, I did so put it in perspective. I did a course called computer science. So that's like for computer technicians, IT work, that kind of thing. Um, they put a few courses in there like business law and finance that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do.
mm.
But again, I had to go and I had to attend. I had to buy the 200, 300, $400 textbooks to get through
yeah,
them. And yet, in the end, nothing I learned in those classes has been used in my real world
Mm.
experience. They were
yeah,
just right. That was another semester that they got money out of me to say, hey, you have to do these courses to get through this to get this degree. and yet they've got nothing to do with the degree that I'm actually studying.
Yeah.
So I can definitely get on board with that,
I'm
100%.
I'm a little more hardcore than that. I have the controversial opinion that school should end at 12 years old.
That's
So
a
you're
tough
living in
the mind.
you're living in the 1800s, Jamie.
No, well, think about it. You learn how to you read, write, basic math, basic
Mhm.
stuff, and then go life experience. And then
Yeah, but then you
if you want to study to be a doctor or whatever, then you can go off and do that.
Oh, so you're saying that there's still further studies available, but you just
Yes.
don't have to if you don't
Yeah.
want to.
100%.
Oh, okay. I was going to say if we stopped everyone learning at 12,
No.
we'd be a pretty dumb world.
Well, I've learnt more outside of school than I did in school.
Oh yeah, 100%. My old
Mhm.
man, he finished school when he was 14
Yeah.
and went on to trade school to become a boilermaker and had a successful career all his life from that.
Yeah.
So I have
Yeah.
total respect for people like that. But for me, in order to do what I wanted, which I never
Yeah.
really did anyway,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in order to get the degree
Yeah.
I wanted, I had to study and pay I mean, mind you, this was back in 2001,
Mhm.
so 24 years ago. I think I had to pay. I think for my whole 4-year course, it cost me about 35,000. Which, when you think about it, my parents bought their first house for
Mhm.
$36,000. And that was the house they lived in from when they moved into there when they were 20 and 21 and
Yeah.
lived there until my mum passed away. So that put
My
that in perspective.
my grandparents bought their house back in probably the 40s or 1940s or something for like 15 pounds. And then
Wow,
it just sold it's sold a few times since they passed, but it just sold for 2.4 million.
that's insane.
It
It's
is.
insane, man.
It's insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
Ryan, you said that you spent about $34,000 for university.
Yeah, about that back start. I went through 2001 to 2005.
I spent about $115,000 at
Mm,
university.
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it's pretty
Jeez. What
Yeah.
what did you study, if you don't mind me asking?
So this might be why it's a little bit more expensive for me. I have 2 degrees and a minor. I
Okay.
have one in political science, which is like the primary one. It's kind of a just general one. And then I have an emergency management degree, which at the time period, there was only 2 schools that can give you that degree. I think there's a couple more since then. And then I have a minor in military science.
Okay.
nice.
Oh, wow. So you were one of the people that wanted to be a specialist and didn't want to just go to college to party.
Yeah, honestly, the reason why I went to college is I just really wanted to become a military officer. And
Mm,
Hmm.
in the United States, you have to have a degree to be an officer.
wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. There you
It's all
go.
linked. It's all linked.
It is. They tricked me.
Wow.
And you think that the military paid you for it? They only paid 2 years of my college. So 2 years of it had to come
Wow.
out of pocket. So put that in
Wow.
perspective, 115,000. That's only 2 years of college that I paid. The
Wow.
other 2 years, the Army covered for.
And then you pay all that money for college and then you spend most of your life trying to pay it off. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And
It's
that's
insane.
another reason why, I think there's a lot of things we could probably go down a rabbit hole in the American
Yeah.
education system, which I imagine is similar.
Mhm.
Probably not as bad for Australians, but similar.
Oh, I'd
And
say
it's
close.
yeah, I just I don't have the background to speak on them.
Yeah.
Uh, but one of them I think is what I said. It's like they have these courses that they require you to take, and the
Yeah.
only reason they're requiring you to take them is
Mhm.
because they know they got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow.
Cool, cool.
That's insane. I couldn't, if I still owed that much, I would still be paying it off freaking 24 years later. It's
Yeah,
insane.
I'm fortunate that I do very well for what I do now for a living. So
Mhm.
it's not I don't owe that much, but that's what I came out on.
Mm, yeah.
Wow. And like you said, that's only two years. If you had to pay for the full years, it's almost 330,000 bucks. That's
Buy a house.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Oh, not in Sydney.
Definitely.
You could buy
Not in
a
Sydney, you know.
you could buy a quarter of a house.
You could buy like a cardboard box in Newtown or something, but that's about it out here. But
Uh,
all right, question number two. what is something that is on your bucket list?
That's on my bucket list, man. That's another tough one because I checked off a lot of my bucket list
Yeah.
when I was military. I hate to say it, like, gone out of helicopters, did that. Flown around in helicopters, did that. I jumped out of a moving helicopter into a body of water with an inflatable raft. So that's something I never thought I would
Oh,
do.
Dude,
Uh,
wow.
nice.
Rappelled off mountains in Africa. I ran the Grand Bar. I'm not even answering your question. I'm just telling you the cool things I've done.
Telling
I don't
you,
know.
yeah, it's all
I don't
right.
know because I don't know if you guys know what the Grand Bar is. So there's NASA has a select place on the Earth on several parts of the globe
Mhm.
where they can land a shuttle. So they're emergency landing
Okay.
All right,
places.
yeah.
So the
Mhm.
Grand Barra is in Africa. It's between I think it's between Ethiopia and Djibouti, and it's the second flattest place on Earth. So it's the backup place in case NASA can't land a shuttle, they can crash it right there because it has enough
Flat,
runway
yeah.
to go through.
Mhm.
And the French government, because the area used to be a French colony, still does a marathon through there. So they'll will train all their Olympic athletes through there, and
Oh,
most of the
wow.
nations, neighboring areas will run out there. So I represented the United States Army along with about 20 other people, and we ran out there and ran with them, and it was great because I got to see like Olympic athletes out there, and they just booking it past me. It was great. I got to run it, so it's a unique
That's
life
awesome.
experience that very few people get to
It's
claim that
cool.
they've done.
That's
So
awesome.
other buckets list. I really want to visit Ireland eventually. I just hear it's a beautiful place. I would really like to visit Japan. The only
Hmm.
thing that stops me from visiting any place that doesn't speak English is I have the personal belief that if you go to a country, you should be able to speak
The
certain things.
language, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a polite thing to do. I know
Yeah,
some people disagree with that. It's my opinion.
yeah.
So I think I should at least be able to say certain courtesies, and I don't know any Japanese, but
Yeah.
like to see.
Well,
Yeah.
I know France get very snarky if you don't at least try to speak their language.
See, I speak French and I've been to France, and the worst place to go in France is Paris, and even the French will tell you don't go to Paris. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, I've always wanted to go to Japan too. But I can't speak
Yeah.
Japan. I can't speak Japanese. It's because I think I love just the culture in Japan. Um, they still love punk rock, which watch what I grew
Yeah.
up on. Like they still love it. You watch all the anime intro songs are punk
Mhm.
rock, you know. It's just like they love it, and I go, it's still alive, you know. So, um,
Yeah,
that.
it's it's a weird dichotomy of their culture, but a lot of Western culture. I guess you could probably
Hmm.
say the same thing about South Korea.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see some of their historical sites. But again, I got to learn a little bit of Japanese before I feel comfortable stepping foot in somebody else's home.
Yeah, just go Konnichiwa.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen that movie Street Kings
Oh, a
with
long
Keanu?
time ago.
Yeah,
A long
I
time
have a
ago.
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I showed that to my wife, and she was like, "I didn't realize this movie was just going to be rehashing all your dad's racism." Well, like, yes, exactly. Uh,
Yeah, I do. I
No,
do love
I
Keanu.
can definitely agree with wanting to see Japan. That's a big thing of mine. One for the punk rock culture, two for the wrestling culture. I'm a massive wrestling fan. I watch a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the Tokyo Dome is like one place that I would love to absolutely go to watch a New Japan Pro Wrestling event before I die. That's on my bucket list. I want to go there and go to the Tokyo Dome and watch the amazing Japanese wrestlers. So that's something that
Mm.
I want to do definitely before I die.
Are you a fan of the sumo wrestlers as well?
No,
No.
no,
oh,
there's
come
no
on.
storylines with that,
That's
man. You
right.
need
They
storyline.
should. They should. Oh, I just got more ideas for story pitch to add, Ryan. Jeez, we'll have a new graph soon. Um,
There you go.
but before we get to to that, I do believe the next question has an
Hmm?
image. Let me bring
Does.
this up because it's very topical.
It's gonna be a spider.
There could be a
No, it's
spider
not
on
a spider.
Mount Rushmore, but
Probably
base,
is, but I don't
base,
want to hear about it.
basically what we want to do
is get you to go through your favorite TV shows in history and put them up on the Mount Rushmore, essentially.
Some of these are
Yeah,
going
so
to
it
be
can be
pretty.
from any time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something you grew up with, something you watch now, any time period, whatever interests you, that's what we want to hear about.
So The Sopranos would be number one.
Excellent. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. That's my
Yeah,
favorite show of all time, The Sopranos.
yeah, it created the anti-hero in on
Yep.
standard television. So yeah, uh, absolutely love that show.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad would be my second one.
Yep.
No
Had that a
surprise,
lot.
I started with Sopranos. Rome, HBO's Rome
All right, yeah.
is my last one. I'm sorry, my next last one is Chernobyl, which is also an HBO exclusive.
Yeah, that was really good. I love Chernobyl. I watch it many times. That's a really good
Cool.
list.
That is. I've never seen Chernobyl, but I've heard good things.
Yeah,
It's really good.
it's phenomenal. I even watched recently a story and breakdown like the accuracies and inaccuracies of it.
Yeah.
And for the actual event, they did
Yeah.
phenomenal. They took a lot of liberties with like the personal stories.
Yeah. Well, they
I
always
think
do.
that's fine, you know. But yeah, the actual story and what happened to the reactor, they hit the nail on the head.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. I think we've had Sopranos a few times and definitely Breaking Bad lots. It's just like
It's a fun look. I'm so picky about my TV shows that
mm,
when my wife moved in with me when we were still dating, I introduced her to the shows I like because she was into um I don't know, shows that just didn't interest. I don't know what else to call them.
yeah.
They're not chick shows. I don't want to call them that.
Yeah.
They're just shows that I've attempted to watch, and then she told me she was into them. I was like, let me show you good TV. So I introduced her to Breaking Bad first, and she was really
Yeah.
hesitant to get into that.
Mm,
And then like she got into like episode 3, and she was like, okay, now we have to just binge this. So we would do like
yeah.
3 or 4 episodes a day, and then killed that episode that entire season. And then I introduced her to The Sopranos. Uh, and then I introduced her to Rome. And then right after Rome, we watched Game of Thrones. And we went into a lull. Like we just didn't have good shows to watch for a really long time because nothing
Mm,
met that standard.
yeah.
Uh, Ozark was okay, but we had a lot of issues with the way they told certain parts of Ozark.
All right, yeah.
Now, have you seen the Many Saints of Newark, the prequel movie to The Sopranos?
Yeah, and I appreciate what they tried to do. Um,
Mhm.
I think that if they would have told a little bit more of like the influence and how it impacted Tony, people would have
Yep.
appreciated it. And I also think that how long they waited between the Sopranos
Yeah.
ending and kind of hurt it.
Mm.
I
Yep.
read the other, I got into it. I was like, why do people hate this movie? And I was like, yeah, I can see why they had issues with it. I still appreciate it. It's a one-time watch, and I'll probably never go back to it though.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've watched it. I think I've only watched it once. I definitely agree with that. It should have come out a lot, and they were talking about it for so many years. Well, after after the last series ended, they said one of the reasons they put it off was James Gandolfini passing. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
they actually were in talks to like do a series on The Sopranos based around the younger generation. So, his kids and, Chris, by the time, obviously, Chris, spoiler alert for a 25-year-old show, but one of the characters passed away, Christopher Moltisanti, and he had a kid. So they were talking about bringing a new series in and having all the original castmates there, but then James Gandolfini unfortunately passed, and I don't think you can have anything to do with the Sopranos without James Gandolfini.
yeah,
And
he
I
killed
think
that
that's
role.
what hurt the movie a little bit, even though his son was really good as playing him, a younger Tony, but without James Gandolfini, it didn't have the grunt and the balls that the Sopranos had.
Yeah, And what I was kind of surprised about in the movie is that if you planned on watching the movie and then watching the show because like you didn't know about them before, you can't do
Yeah,
that because the movie ruins key elements to the show, which I also
exactly.
think is kind of an interesting choice. Um, it is what it is, though. Yeah, I would have
Yeah.
said my list of shows that I love. I would have said Deadwood because I really like Deadwood as a show,
All
but the
right, yeah.
fact that they finish it stops me from putting it up there as one of my
Mm,
favorite shows. Same thing with Firefly. I like Firefly, but one season isn't going to cut
yeah,
it.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I'm I 100% Firefly should have gotten so much more. That cast, that story, that and the fact that it only got, the movie, the Serenity movie.
Yeah,
I'm on the Firefly bandwagon. I've read the Firefly comics and everything like that. It just, yeah, that's such a tragedy that it only got one season.
yeah, and it's crazy that the studio, a studio would cut something like that. But then
Yeah.
there's that show Grimm. I don't know if you guys have
Yep.
ever watched it,
Yeah.
but my
Yep.
wife and I binged that, and that show just didn't have the quality that it deserved, and then it faltered so heavily in the last 2.5 seasons
Yep.
that I was like, man, this is not the show that we started with.
Yeah.
hmm
I won't
I
ruin that.
agree.
It's a good show.
I agree. I was a fan of Grimm when it started. I watched, and I agree 100%. The last two seasons it was like watching a completely different show.
Yeah,
Um, it was like for you, Jamie, it would be watching the first
Yeah.
5 seasons of Supernatural and
Yeah.
then the rest of it, in your opinion.
Is it just a whole new
Um,
show?
yeah, it is. Essentially, it didn't really
No.
feel like the Grimm that we originally got.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, I can definitely agree. I enjoyed watching The Many Saints of Newark, I suppose, just because it was that little bit of The Sopranos that I hadn't seen because I've watched the show so many times. Over the 25 years since it came out. Um, but yeah, it definitely was. It could have been so much more, but it just fell flat a little bit.
yeah. And it's
But
going back to shows. My wife and I really enjoyed Vikings. My
yep,
wife enjoyed it more than I did. I felt like I was so attached to Ragnar
yep,
that, you know, again, we're going to ruin this for anybody out there listening. But once he died and his sons avenged him, the show should have ended right there. Like
yeah.
it should have ended with the revenge of Ragnar, but they went on for like 6 more seasons about the brothers, and I was like, bro, I don't give a about any of you guys, so I don't want to swear on the show. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I already swore. It's fine.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
none
don't.
of those caught me. I just didn't give a shit about.
I My wife again. She loves Vikings. She's watched it a fair few times. I think I've only seen the first season that I
Yeah.
watched with
Same.
her. But what I watched, I really enjoyed. I just haven't gotten around to watching any more of it. Like the violence is insane. The characters are fantastic. Um, I just haven't really gotten around to watching any more of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined it for you. By the
No,
way,
that doesn't bother. You know what? By the time I get around to watching it again, I probably would have forgotten what you
Yeah.
said about Ragnar anyway. But no, I can. It's such a shame where most of the TV shows that we liked growing up, we get shows like amazing shows like Smallville and shows like, to me, Supernatural. I love all the seasons that I've watched up to season 10. I like all of them. All the shows that we grew up with, in our teenage years, they just don't make them like that anymore. And I hate to sound like an old man when I say that, but they just don't make like these good
they don't
TV
make
shows
movies.
now. Yeah, 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 100%. It's all remakes and that's why I suppose why I love horror so much because even if it's bad, it's good. Some of the horror movies are so bad that it's just insanely good. Like I watched a
Yeah.
movie called Carved, which was about a killer pumpkin. Like not a pumpkin man, a actual pumpkin
Oh,
that shot tendrils out of him to kill people. And me and my wife
funny.
watched that, and it was so bad that it was funny, and we enjoyed it and stuff like that.
Mm.
But movies nowadays, it's few and far in between that I can actually say are amazing that are not horror.
Mm.
And it sucks. It sucks that we don't get those awesome action movies that we used to get and all those good
Well,
stories.
I think they're more indie now because I've watched a lot of indie
Yeah.
movies that have come out and they're capturing that. They just have less of a budget, you know.
Yeah.
But if a director knows what they're doing, it can.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, that's like that. I was telling you, Jamie, I watched the new Toxic Avenger movie. Like
Yeah.
that was a movie that came out in the 80s that I remember watching. And the new one has Peter Dinklage, it's got Elijah Wood, it's got Kevin Bacon. I watched it yesterday and I thought, even though it was sponsored by Legendary Pictures, which is kind of a biggish studio, it was amazing. I watched it and I didn't look at my phone once, and I just thought it was absolutely amazing. And you don't get movies like that anymore.
No.
yeah, the last couple of major pictures that my wife and I have seen, we really wanted to see them in theaters, but having a 2-year-old and few resources to
Hmm.
watch, we've waited until they came out on streaming. And every time we ended it by saying, I'm really happy we didn't spend $45 to
Yeah.
go see it in theaters,
Hmm.
which is unfortunate because like that includes 28 years later. I was really
Oh,
let
you
down by
didn't.
that.
Oh, you didn't like it.
I didn't. I liked the first half of the movie. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't want to ruin it
I
because it
have,
is a
yeah.
new movie. Okay. Yeah, I liked the first half of the movie. I didn't care for the second half. And then the ending was just far too bizarre for how serious the series is supposed to be.
Okay.
So, uh,
Yeah. I
but
The
okay.
ending was pretty funny, and luckily I already knew that they were doing a trilogy of movies for the 28 years later. But yeah, and I apologize for spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers about 28 years later, block your ears. But the fact that it ended with a bunch of white dudes in colorful tracksuits jumping down and trying to recruit one of the main characters, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And to me, that's the kind of thing I love, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's just so far out of left field
Mm.
that like I love Danny Boyle, and I'm glad that him and the original guy that he wrote with came back for this one. I don't know. I personally enjoyed it, but I can see how it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I would do if I had the ability to change it. That's all I think about. I'm like, man, it had such potential to be. I really enjoyed the first movie with how gritty
Hmm.
and human it was, and I feel
Yep,
like we lost that in the third movie. But what I really
definitely.
blame when it comes to movies is I blame Marvel for ruining movies,
Hmm.
and it's the humor. So like I'm
Yep.
a
Yeah.
huge Jurassic Park fan, especially the first two movies, especially the novels. But if you watch the Jurassic World series, it has Marvel humor in it, and
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
it's Chris Pratt.
Marvel,
So,
yeah, well, screw Chris Pratt. I mean, it's just the fact I feel like industry, the studio
yeah.
wants to be Marvel, and it's
Yeah.
like just let Marvel be Marvel, and you do your
Yeah.
own
Yep.
thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I can completely agree with that. Um, I think that Marvel kind of lost its Marvelness, if that makes sense. Like they did the Infinity Saga, which was I think there were two bad movies in that whole 23 movie epic. And then they released a whole bunch of not great movies. I mean, we got Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we got Spider-Man No Way Home, but then all the rest to me were just felt generic and bland, like they just literally put it together in a week. But in saying that, I've been the one who's always gone to see them, regardless out of our group, and I've been the one who will always go and see them. But the Marvel movies that I've seen this year have been a lot better. Like I saw Kraven the Hunter, which I know is Sony, but it's still Spider-Man. That was amazing. I saw Captain America: Brave New World was pretty good. Thunderbolts was really good. Fantastic Four was really, really good. So hopefully we're back on the bandwagon of Marvel movies actually going back to where they started from. But 100%, as soon as Marvel put out that humor, everyone's trying to copy. Everyone
Yeah,
was trying to copy and trying to make be the next Marvel. And you're right, it did. It ruined so many movies.
Yeah.
100% it did. I forgot where we were up to, Jamie. Do you remember where we were up to? My
you're
turn?
next. You're next.
Okay,
Something
cool.
that might be up.
Oh
It's topical.
yeah.
We were just talking about
We're just talking about it.
it.
What is your zombie apocalypse plan?
I can't say that because I wrote it into a book. So
Oh,
Oh,
it's
okay. Oh,
well then just hold up your book and go this, and then
yeah.
that'll be it.
Buy this book and you'll get the answer to this question.
so there is so obviously I wrote Alone Together, which is a zombie style book. Not the undead in that sense, it's more infected, but they're
Mhm.
grouped into the same genre. Um, I spent a lot of time pulling not just from my personal experience in the military and in disaster recovery, risk management, and emergency management here in the United States, but I also pulled from like hours and hours of forums. So I looked up tropes of like what people liked and didn't like in it, and I tried to incorporate all the things that people didn't like and change it. So if you're expecting like the usual, somebody got bit and they're keeping it
Mm.
secret. It's not going to happen. It's
Yeah.
just because everybody hates that. Like,
Awesome.
if you
Yeah.
think about it,
Yeah.
like you and I know about zombies, right? We've seen every zombie movie out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's like it
Yeah.
makes no sense from any human perspective.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not gonna ever call myself a prepper, but I feel like because of my disaster response experience and the fact I live in Florida where hurricanes are like they're literally a seasonal event here for us, that I'm
Mhm.
probably far more prepared for at least short to midterm
Mm.
chaos than the average person is. I'll say that if you really want to get into like my individual readiness, there's a character in Alone Together that I base his personal readiness off my real life readiness. So a lot of the gear that I list off certain parts of like what he has, I have all those things and they're stacked up. I did a interview with Already Overbooked and I wore my kit when
Yeah, I
I
saw
had
that. Yeah.
yeah. So I have a lot of interesting things. I have a lot of weird experiences. The one thing instead of like answering your question directly of what my individual plan would be is I'm probably just going to give you guys a quick lesson of what probably would be the right thing. And the right thing would be to think about places that people would want to avoid and not the
Yep.
obvious places. But for example, I'm going to give a cemetery. Cemeteries are relatively safe locations. So you're thinking like, okay, let's say they are the Walking Dead, right? They're coming out of the ground. They're
Mhm.
not going to be the ones coming out of the coffins. And it's just because you're going to be limited by what the body can physically do. It's not getting through that wood. And if it's an older coffin, it's not getting through anything harder than that. It's not getting through that many feet of dirt. So you're safe from anything that's under the ground. There's not usually active dead bodies there
Mm.
because
Mhm.
that's usually funeral homes that do that. You have a large area that's been cleared out so you can see everything approaching you. They're usually very well gated off, fenced off, so people can't get in there easily. And nobody's going to go there because nobody's like, yeah, I'm hang out at
Like,
a
that's
cemetery. So
no, you'll get some teenagers just
yeah, and
and a boombox.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. They can do their photo shoot on the gravestones while I
Yeah.
just uh
So would you go to a cemetery where they have those big family crypts and maybe take refuge inside one of those big family crypts? You know how you see in cemetery that huge, somewhere to keep out of
yeah
the elements as well. Because like obviously there's zombies and that's the thing, but what people don't think about when you're planning for a zombie apocalypse is you've still got the elements, you've still got the weather, you've still got the heat, you've still got the rain, the snow, everything
yeah
to think about, surviving those things as well.
yeah. I think the question really comes down to like what's your 24, your 1 week, your 1 month, and then so
Yeah.
forth. I do again, I spent way too long on forums, and now I'm gonna start sounding like the whack job. That like, I promise, I don't have a board over here with like all my plans, everything. I don't do that. I promise you. I gotta take down this much paperwork. uh, so the particular place that I live, we don't have the grips like that. There is a very large cemetery where I am, and it has a main building in the center. And it's mostly a concrete marble building.
Mhm.
And that's where they have they call it the mausoleum, but it's really just
Mhm.
where if you get cremated, they put you on a wall, and then you
Okay.
have a
Yeah.
plaque in a little box that they put
Yeah,
it.
I've
Yeah.
seen some of those.
And it's just like it's almost like a hotel lobby, and then that. And I
Yeah.
think, for the first 24, 48 hours, it's fine. But I think realistically, I would avoid the roads in the first 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave my location just because you're more likely to get killed by somebody who's not paying attention on the road,
Yeah.
somebody who's
Yeah.
panicked, somebody who's trigger happy, something like that, than I
Yeah.
am getting bit by something running around. Uh, Once everything's died down, I also live in a relatively rural area, so I don't have to worry about like the rioters coming into my neighborhood necessarily. Um, Another tip point to what happens in Alone Together. But after that is when I would start looking like I need to leave. I think it's a very poor idea to think that your house, even with how isolated I am, is going to become a fortress because, yeah, I have a couple neighbors, I have my family, but being in the military, I can't be up and operating 24 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
somebody needs to keep eyes up. We call it 360 security in the military. Somebody's watching every direction that something can happen. And I just don't have that ability where I live. So then the option becomes now I have to get out. And for me, I would start heading northwest because that's away from all the major areas. And it would be by foot at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
I put way too
that's
much effort
probably the
into this.
most.
Detailed.
I was just about to say that's probably the most in-depth zombie
Answer.
apocalypse plan we've had on the podcast. So I love it. I love and it does help that your latest book is pretty much an apocalypse story. But yeah, I really love the detail that you got into with that. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Appreciate that.
All right, the last icebreaker question. Now, we have to ask this because, me and Ryan are getting old, so we don't know if everybody knows about Bill and Ted. Do you know about Bill and Ted?
I do remember Bill and Ted. Yeah, Ted was played by Keanu Reeves.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Good. Okay, so we can proceed with the question. So Bill and Ted rock up outside your house in their phone booth time machine and say, "Well, dude, Rufus asked to give you a free ride in our phone booth time machine. Where do you go?"
Yeah, I hate to say that Ellen Holmes stole my answer for this. So I'm not gonna give you the same answer that she gave you. Uh, so I would probably choose the Normandy landings just to see how chaotic it really was.
Yeah.
Uh, because that was just such a world-changing event in a
Hmm.
very short amount of time with so many people and countries working together. It's amazing to think about that. And again, military guy, so
Yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
we operate these things off these orders called op orders, which is they call them op orders, but they're operation orders. It's an abbreviation for it, but they have to be in a certain format. And I remember getting op orders for very simple tasks, and they'd be like 12, 15 pages long. And it'd be something like you're taking a convoy down to this other city, but I'd have a 15-page op order for this for some reason. But the op order for D-Day was like 2 pages long because they were like, yeah, we're
Wow.
going to hit the beach, we're going to take it, and then we're going to figure it out from there. You guys ready? I mean, they had briefings on individual taskings, but the actual overall operation was only a couple pages. I was like, how is it that I have to get 15 pages to drive to the other city? But
Yeah.
like these dudes are like, yeah, we're going to invade all of Western Europe. Send it.
That's crazy. I'd want to go there too because I don't know if you've heard of I think it was Scottish or British guy called Mad Jack Churchill who went
Mhm.
Yes.
yes
Yeah.
with a bow
Going
and
to the
arrow
beach with
and
the,
yeah
yeah.
bow and arrow and broadsword. I'm going like, how is there not a movie about this guy? I can't find any books on him except for a fictionalized. There's an Australian who I've been meaning to get on the podcast at some point. He wrote a fictionalized series about him, but it's like kind of like historical fiction. And I'm going
Yeah.
like, couldn't you have just done something real? Because I want to know everything about this guy because he's so. I found information about the guy, but just there's nothing in depth, you know?
Yeah, and what I really hate about, especially when it comes to stories that Hollywood decides to tell or not to tell, is
Hmm.
sometimes they'll tell a really great story, but they're like, we're gonna Hollywoodize it so much that you can't tell
What's
what
true or
really
not?
happened.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, for example, Inglorious Bastards, there really was a dedicated kill
Yeah,
team. The
yeah,
Allies dropped. They're like, yeah, you're just gonna kill Nazis, but
yeah,
they've turned it into like that Tarantino thing. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, I guess
yeah.
that's how it worked out. So there's so many cool stories out there that
yeah,
I mean, and going back to like Marvel ruined Hollywood, if
yeah,
they really wanted to tell a really great story, there's no shortage of stories out there,
yeah,
either from new writers,
Mhm.
old writers, or real historical accounts.
yeah,
Somebody just needs to nut up and tell the executives that's what they're going to do.
yeah. That's why, again, why indie films are better because they've got more control. Like I plug him all the time, but we have a friend called Matthew Holmes who he
Mhm.
wrote a movie. He made a movie called The Legend of Ben Hall, which is a bushranger outlaw Australian movie, and it's completely accurate as much as he could possibly do, even to things that was said. He puts it in there, and he's like, "This is what happened, whether you like him or not. This is what happened." Um, Brilliant film. But Hollywood people are going, well, let's make him different. Let's make him flamboyant, and just going like, can you just be accurate?
Yeah. There's a movie that I caught I think it was like right after COVID. And for the life of me right now, because I mentioned it, I can't remember the name of it, but it's
Hmm.
about a journalist in like the mid 1930s, like leading up right up to World War II. I think at this point, Germany had already occupied parts of Czechoslovakia, and they knew that the war was about to spread into Poland. But he went to the Soviet Union and he was trying to figure out what was happening over there because the Soviet Union at that time period, like the Iron Curtain, even though it wasn't a formally said thing, existed. Like there was no information coming out from Russia. And that's when he found out that the Russians, they were going through their 5-year plan and they were exterminating people by
Mm.
starvation. And he tried to get out of Russia with that story. And then he gets out and nobody believes him because they don't want to demonize a potential ally about
Yeah,
to fight. And he's trying to be like, they're just as bad. You don't get it.
yeah,
Like, I've seen the bodies.
yeah,
And they're like, okay, we don't care. I was like, and it's all a true story. And I thought that was a phenomenal story, the way they
yeah,
told it. I'll follow up with you on the name of that movie. I loved watching it.
yeah. I do. Yeah, I'm a sucker for true stories when they're done right. I think I loved the movie Patch Adams, but then I found out what it was based on and how much they actually changed, and it kind of annoyed me. I was just like, it's a great movie, but that didn't happen, and that didn't happen, and that didn't
But
happen.
I think you told me that doesn't it only have to be like 13% accurate to say that this is based on an actual event? It only has to have 13% of what really happened. The rest can be
I don't
made
even
up.
think it's that. I think they can do what they want, and I think there's a particular way they have to describe it. Like, I don't think like based on a true story or based on true events. Like, if as long as they
Yeah.
put it in, they go, oh, it's based on. They're not saying this is a true story.
Well,
Um,
Yeah,
that's
it's like that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, that's like again going back to horror, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They
hmm
said this is based on actual events when it was just a combination of I can't remember who the other one was, but essentially it was based on a serial killer called Ed Gein, who used to make like he made a lampshade out of human skin. He did all this kind of thing, and they
hmm
just took the essential from him
Yeah, just
and just created a
yeah.
whole horror genre about it. And that again, that was I know a fair bit about Ed Gein. There's going to be a special
Mm.
coming out on Netflix soon with Charlie Hunnam. But yeah, it's got literally nothing really to do with Ed Gein. But
Yeah. It's what
because
they
there was
do.
a little bit, they
It's
could
what they
say,
do.
"Hey, based on a true story or based on
It's
real
funny.
events."
It's funny that you chose that movie because I was gonna say Wolf Creek because you guys are
In
Australian.
Yep.
Australia, yeah.
Like it's
Hmm.
the same thing where like they're like based on, but it's like they make how many kills that this guy is supposedly accused of
Yeah.
way higher than the
Yeah.
guy who actually. It's a lot of doing it.
You know what was really funny about Wolf Creek? And I love the Wolf Creek movie just because I love pretty much anything Australian I will watch, and it was Australian horror, so I love it. But the funny thing is, the guy that played the killer used to
Mhm.
be on a gardening show.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be on a Saturday afternoon. John Jarrett. He used to be on a
Yeah.
show called Better Homes and Gardens with his wife, Noni Hazelhurst. And he used to just give you tips on planting flowers and building sheds. And then he's out murdering tourists.
You know what's even better than that?
What's that?
He was also on Play School,
He was on Play School,
which
which
is
was
a
like a kid
children's.
show.
Yeah, it's like Sesame Street for Australians. Um,
Oh,
it's like,
It's so funny. And then
let's
and
go
then
murder
seeing
some
him
people.
and then seeing him, especially in the sequel to Wolf Creek, using a high-powered rifle to blow up half a cop's head
Yeah.
was just it's to some people it was scarring, but to me I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess in his defense, he also played Ned Kelly in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. Did he?
Um,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. It was-
that movie was Mr. Jones, by the way, in case
oh,
anyone
Mr.
wants to.
Jones. I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a
I'll make a
phenomenal
note of
movie.
it. Mr. Jones. I'll look at. Well, I think you've done the icebreakers now, mate. You've
I think
passed them.
an hour and 10 minutes they took. I think that's the longest icebreaker we had.
No, well, we started recording 10 minutes
Oh, that's right, because we
late.
talked a bit beforehand. Yeah, I get you.
We were vibing. We were vibing off recording. You know, so what we want to do now is basically get you to tell us your author origin story. How did it start for you? How did you get into it? And how did you get to the point where you've got all these books out?
Yeah, so I got out of the military and I'd been writing for years and I had like all these crappy manuscripts that I was like, this is going to be my book. And then I'd finish it and I'm like, nah. And I'd do another one and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be my book. And I was like, nah, it's not going to be it. And finally I just said, I need to stop wasting so much time writing these books that nobody's going to read. And I just need to do it. So I gave myself a deadline and I gave myself a year to write a book. And I decided I was going to write a book for me, and I was going to write a book that I've always wanted to read that hit all the childhood fascinations. And I'm either going to hit that deadline or I'm never going to write again. And that's how I ended up writing A Fold to Extinction, which is my first book. I did hit, I don't want to call them roadblocks, but there was a lot of things that I wanted to make sure made sense in it, and I didn't steal great ideas from previous authors. So spoiler alert, it's a dinosaur book. And I didn't want to write Jurassic Park, right? And that's what everybody immediately is going to think of. So I had to think, how do I get dinosaurs here? I didn't want to play with time travel because that's a complicated subject, and I didn't want to create time loop problems or things that, I didn't want to get into that. I wanted to have something that was semi-based in reality, that was still sci-fi enough that I didn't have to explain it. Does that make? I feel like I'm just talking in circles by saying it that way. So I'm a big fan of Dune. So I stripped an idea out of Dune to create the origin of what I wanted to do. And there's a song out there called 5 Hour. And when I heard the intro to it, it's like he says it. The artist said it was based off the sound of a train starting. To me, it sounds like somebody swinging like a really thick cord over their head. And it's making like a whoop noise, and it speeds up. And I was like, that's the sound of the engine starting. And then from there, I just started writing the story, and I came up with the characters, the events, and I told the dinosaur story based off everything that I would have wanted as a kid in a dinosaur book. That being said, it's not a kid's book. It's extremely graphic and violent.
Hmm.
So just don't pick it up and give it to your 10-year-old. It's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of screaming.
So it's like Jurassic. So it's like Jurassic Park, you know.
It is like Jurassic Park in the sense that the animal
Yeah.
attacks are graphic.
Yeah.
Barney is not in there. So I do that, and I'm like, okay, so what can I expect? And they say, your first time running a book as an indie author, you'll be lucky if you sell 10 books. I was like, okay, so a year goes by and I sell almost 200 books. I was like, okay, well, somebody enjoys this story. And in that time period, I started writing my second book, Sinner's Pass. And yeah, I think writing the first two books, I learned so much about what I didn't know about writing. that I really appreciated, just like the journey between those books, because Sinner's Pass is a better story overall than A Fold to Extinction was, even though A Fold to Extinction will always have a soft place dedicated in my heart because it's the story I wrote for myself. But the characters are more fleshed out in Sinner's Pass, and Sinner's Pass is a truer horror story. So, A Fold to Extinction is a horror slash sci-fi story with a lot of action elements to it. Sinner's Pass, dedicated horror, very in depth on each individual character being fleshed out, and it's longer because of that. Um, and I also learned what I needed in my support structure. So I don't want to ever down talk somebody. I had a poor, I had a not up to par editor for my first book. So I had to go back and re-release The Fold to Extinction. Did a little bit better on Sinner's Pass, but I still needed to find somebody that was right. And I ended up meeting a former undercover detective in my town, and he's also an author. And he writes the Kate Taylor series, which he's a phenomenal writer, especially if you're into detective stories. He says they're not based off his life experiences, but I'm pretty sure that's just what he says.
Yeah.
And we ended up having coffee and we became friends. And he put me in contact with an editor that specifically does horror. And right around that time period, I was already working on Alone Together, which is my most recent series. It's my first series. And Alone Together is I don't want to say a childhood project, but it's something that I always knew I wanted to do if I was going to tell a story, because I loved Resident Evil. I love those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all phenomenal. Even the first one with the giant spider in it. And going through, 28 Days Later, Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero, I was huge zombie everything. I was in the middle of doing that, putting up my military experience into it, and he introduced me to my newest editor, who I still use, and she showed me how to develop certain areas a lot better. And since then, I would say, like, even between Alone Together and the second book, which comes out on October 15th, Alone Together Factions, you can see a jump between just like what I learned between those books. And then, not to toot my own horn, but my editor has my third book right now, and she's texted me several times saying that she can't believe the jump I've made between book two and book three, because I took what she provided me and decided to change the way I was doing certain things. And I'm a huge fan of Michael Crichton, if you couldn't tell with being a fan of Druff. And I studied the way he wrote, and I studied what he said about how he wrote, which he's a big fan of the note card series. I developed my own version of that using PowerPoint. People make fun of me for it, but you know what? It works. And that's where I get my infamous death pile. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but that's how I shifted from being just like a general sci-fi, like I'm going to do it, to now I'm a dedicated horror writer. And while I'm a huge, like, I think Alone Together probably has more of me than any of my books. Like, yeah, I wrote A Full to Extinction for me because that's the story I wanted, but Alone Together has me in it, not as a character, but so much of my life experiences went into Alone Together. Conversations I've had with people, um, events that were super inspired by interactions and people and real world problems that I encountered in it, that I don't know if any book is ever going to touch the way Alone Together touched me. But I do have a couple other projects that I've been running in the background because I just love horror and various things. So I have some vampire stories cooking on the background. I have a Parasite story. I'm working with Sean Joste, the South African writer, also a Darth Vader Society writer. We're working on a psychological horror together. And I don't want to say it because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce the title of the book yet, but there is an anthology coming out very soon that a bunch of Dark Veil Society writers provided short stories to. So that'll be coming out very shortly too. And I have one of my dedicated shorts in there as well. So, between all that with Sinner's Pass and Alone Together, I obviously ended up in Dark Veil Society, and I learned a lot from everybody there. They're a great group of people that really just been supporting me, and I think especially you, Jamie, you can relate to this, that there's a level of thinking that you're not good enough
Mm,
every single time you write something. And I feel like if you don't feel that as a writer, you're probably too full of yourself.
yeah,
Imposter syndrome. I
yeah,
think that's the name they call it. You have every time you write something, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that comes in there. But then you turn around and you see people that absolutely love the stories, and that's the only thing that really
yeah,
keeps me going at this point. Is every time I get a message from somebody saying, "I enjoyed this," or
yeah,
like logged into X and saw somebody that I don't even know said, "Here's my top 10 horror books for this year," and one of my stories was on there. I'm like,
yeah.
not that.
It's the best. Like my favorite messages are the ones that you get when they're reading them. Like not,
Yeah.
hey, I just finished. Like Ryan reads my stuff and he's always like, oh this, oh that, what, and I'm just like, I love those messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely with imposter syndrome, like it's like I want people to tell me I suck. Like I don't know if I'm insane like that. It's just I get a lot of messages that are positive. Um, because I fell into writing. I've never had any training. I've never went to any creative writing courses. I've only entered two competitions. Didn't go anywhere. But no feedback from them. But it's just like I welcome criticism, and I feel like I don't get enough. You know?
Yeah, that's what my current editor provided me that I wasn't getting in my previous ones. Is like if something's not working, you got to let me know because in my head, it's working.
Yeah.
Like my first draft of Alone Together, I had a segment that got very involved in the logistics of everybody's survival. And in my head, it made sense because I was, even though I was an armor officer and then an infantry officer, like you live and die by your logistics. So
Yeah.
like it was important for me to tell that. And she
Yeah.
said, I get this is important, but for a story, this fucking sucks. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we need to fix this. And then sometimes I nerd out on certain military things.
Mm.
I had a friend say that it reminded him of oh my gosh, I can't remember the guy. He wrote Ghost Recon. Uh,
Oh yes, I know him. I know him.
yeah,
Clancy, someone, Tom
yes,
Clancy.
Clancy. Yeah, he said it reminds me of Clancy. I'm like, I appreciate the comparison. Like, I'm not trying to be that specific on
Yeah.
every element that's happening. But at the same time, then I get a message from a friend like, why don't they use this? I'm like, no, I have to be really specific about why you don't do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, I really enjoy that aspect of it. I wish, you know, it's selfish of me to say, but I wish I could get that level of engagement where people want to talk about
Yeah.
things like that because that's how you make a story that people want to read. I feel like,
Yeah.
so if I write something and I don't see anything, I'm like, did nobody like it? Which is, probably a reason why I cut back a little bit on the short stories that I share. On my website, a bunch of short stories are out there. A lot of them are tied to the stories. So, Ryan, if you haven't read Alone Together yet, you can go there and read the Last Stand series, and it leads up to the very moment that Alone Together kicks off.
Mm.
And
That's what I
um,
like about your website. I was on your website earlier today, and you could the first book, and I do apologize. I'm horrible with titles, but the first book I got of yours, and I'm just gonna go to your website now, so Jamie can edit this out later.
No, it's stuck.
Sin it's past, sin it's
okay,
past. Because when I finished reading The Clatter Man, that popped up, and I read the blurb about it, and I'm like, okay. This kind of has like I kind of, and I don't know if you played it, but I kind of get a little bit of a Silent Hill vibe from
yeah,
the blurb, and I'm like, okay. And that was the one that got me. And then I went to your website, and you've got here's the whole expanded universe, and there's just a couple of short stories
Mm.
before actually reading the book. So I haven't started the book yet, but knowing that, I can now go to your website and read the Hunted, Heroes Downfall, The Offering before I actually start. And I love how your website does that because I'm a completionist. I'm all about I want everything and anything I
everything.
know about this universe. Let's do it. So the fact that you've got that laid out on your website so easily, just makes it so much easier.
Mm.
I really appreciate that. And if you haven't dived into them yet, like Hero's Downfall, I recorded myself reading it, and I had a lot of fun doing that because I went back and added sound effects to certain parts of
Oh,
it.
nice.
And
Nice.
it was like making like a little movie for myself.
Yeah.
It's it's just a fun project to do on the side for everything. So I've had a lot of fun with things like that. My computer frustrates the hell out of me because like I am not a movie making person, but I'm slowly learning how to do certain things.
Awesome.
Yeah. So going back to your military days, you were saying you wrote like were you writing in the military while you were, shipped out, I guess?
Yeah. So I write for myself, and
Yeah.
then I also did my fictional writing.
Yeah.
So when I say I write for myself, I keep a journal,
Yeah.
and some of it's just like my personal rantings about things because I feel like that's a healthy way to not want to murder everybody around me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the next Ed Gein,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I do that. I don't in the military. I was doing it every day.
Mm.
Since then, it's like when something really bothers me, I'll sit down and write, or something I really want to make sure is like a historical moment. I want to
Yeah.
write that out. So I did that, and yes, I was writing fiction while I was in the military, but I didn't publish anything until I got
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And thank God I didn't because I didn't know what I was doing back then. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything up until I finally hit publish, and then I was like, "Hey, you did everything wrong. Let's go do this the right way now."
We've all done that.
Yeah. So so there was that. I tried to write what's the right a Western based steampunk that had like a grim dark universe around it.
Oh wow.
And my wife said it was a really good story, but she's my wife. So I have to accept that as much as she's probably being honest, it's also she's my wife. So
Was she
I
patting
just
you on the head at the time?
I mean, look, she said that there are certain moments that she's like, this was such a cool moment. I fully agree that those were
Yeah.
cool moments.
Yeah.
Um, what head she was patting me on, we won't go there. But she was
Oh wow.
sorry, I had to say it. Sean
PG.
Tuesday's gonna be like, yes, he did it. He made a dirty joke for me. Uh, but I, what was it? You know what it was? I wrote that and then I read the Game of Thrones books and I was like, yeah, I am not ready to write a series.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was like I think I did 3 books, and looking back, like the first book is not long enough or detailed enough to lay out the world that I created, and I have too many characters for as little elements that are in there, and that's the easiest way to
Mm.
put it. I think the first book that I wrote, I started like right before I joined the military, and I finished it while I was in the military, and I never titled it because I didn't know what to name it.
Yeah.
And it was this story about genetic research and creating like biological monsters to use as like hunting instead of like drones because drone warfare wasn't as advanced at that time period. So you could create these monsters and like send them into the tunnels of Tora Bora to hunt terrorists. But of course, because it's the way it is,
Yeah.
things go wrong and it happens in an American city instead. And again, same problem. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of writing action scenes with no explanation. I guess that's the easiest way. Maybe I'm being too critical on my old self, but um, yeah, I wrote a lot of things. I used to have a blogger account that I wrote short stories to. And I just kind of let that die to the side. I have imported some of those stories over to my current website. They're scattered in the early portions of my blog, but they're nothing to write home about. Like there's a short story about somebody waking up and hearing a voice. There's a story about a giant spider. So there's that one out there. So um, yeah, I wrote. I just didn't write well.
Well, why don't I bring up some of these covers? Because Ryan likes to talk about cover.
Hmm.
So I did my research. I compiled some together, and there you go.
Yeah.
They're really cool. I do, and I will say, I love Sinner's Pass. That's
Hmm.
just, I'm a fan of silhouettes. Um,
I appreciate it. I
but
think
that's
that Super Fast created the going forward trend for all my novels for now on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can see a what do you call it? Like an almost pattern to them. So do you work with the same artist for all of them?
No. So my first one, Full to Extinction, again, I didn't know what I was doing. I did hire an artist to do it. I told her what I wanted, and it is not what I actually originally wanted.
Yeah,
I told her that I wanted it like you were looking out of the creature's mouth, so you just see the teeth at
yeah.
the island. And I got that. I had already paid for it, and I'd made it so many adjustments to it to that point that I was like, you know what? The cover is what it is. It gets the point across of what you're getting into. Um, so that's how that one kind of developed. Sinner's Pass, I put a lot more effort into it. So I came up with the concept design myself. I sketched it out. I did have a problem finding an artist. I went through three different artists on Sinner's Pass, and the second one kind of screwed me because they produced a product that was close enough to what I wanted, but I could tell that they were using an AI generator to do it. And they
Yeah.
refused to admit it. And I'm like, I can tell that you did it. Like, which is why Sinner's Pass has two covers. There's this one, and then there's the ebook version, which is without the silhouette of the
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Um, and I was uncomfortable because I'm not a fan of AI. I was uncomfortable selling a product that was AI generated in any sense of the word. So I reached out to my third artist, and they're the one who helped me create the skull around this to remove the AI kind of awkwardness that the second artist did.
Oh, yeah.
For the Alone Together series, so I knew exactly what I wanted. I went through like 6 or 7 sketches, and then instead of going to a book specific cover artist, what I did was I found an artist that does character art, and I asked them if they would do something like this, and I just asked for the art. So I paid them to go through, and we worked on creating the three characters for Alone Together, and I gave them all the information about my city. So that's actually my hometown currently in
Mm.
these characters. So that in who is Julie in the center, that's the Capitol building. So when you drive down Appalachia here in Tallahassee, that is our Capitol building. Now there's towers that aren't present, but I only have so much I can work with in this.
Yeah.
On the left side, that's the Department of Education over there, and on the right side is a part of the campus. So that is like Tallahassee, which is where the book starts. And he just did a phenomenal job creating the artwork. And
Yeah.
then I really liked the lettering and font to Sinner's Pass. So I just took that, and
Yeah.
that became go forward lettering for my horror novels from now on is going to be that font. And then I created the actual covers myself. The only thing you're not seeing in the Alone Together books, though, is on the spine, there is a pillar. And as the book series goes on, the pillar starts to
Mm.
degrade over time. So book two has
Okay.
a couple cracks and things missing in it. With the intention, if you have all the paperbacks lined up, you can see the degradation of
Yes.
society.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's really
I
cool.
like it.
Um,
And then factions, not much of a difference between Alone Together and factions, other than uh, I included two of the antagonists as kind of a hint to what's happening in there. And
yeah.
then a very key moment is within the antagonist.
Excellent. No, I definitely love it. I love like there's a lot to say about I'm with Jamie. I love the silhouettes. I love the cover for Sinner's Path. I love all the covers, but with Sinner's Path, I love how there's something really good about the simplicity of it. When you've just got that the silhouette of the bone of the animal or the creature, and then you've just got obviously the dad who's going back to town and looking for his son. I really, really love that. That's probably my favorite out of all of them. But yeah, you definitely done really good work on those covers. I really like them.
I appreciate it. I just hope that, if anything, it inspires somebody to at least want to pick it up and give it a
Yeah.
chance. Um,
Hmm.
and with the exception of a full to extinction, I tried to include a key element in the story for each one. So I told you about One Together. It has the skyline to the city it's based in. You pointed out Sinner's Pass. There's the church. You got the dad walking in there, and then the skull itself of the creature that is stalking him the entire time. And then I mentioned already factions. The center has a lot of like when you get to that, like this is the scene.
Yeah. I don't know which one I want to talk about the most now. Why don't we plug the latest stuff that you're doing, Alone Together faction. Was I correct to know, or did I hear that there's 4 books you're doing, or
Yeah, so
yeah.
overall, I think the main lineup is looking at about 12 books total for the
Wow.
series. And I do have 4 books complete.
Yeah,
So
okay.
obviously, these 2 are out. Third book is with my editor. The 4th book, I'm just waiting for my editor to finish so I can flip flop with her. And then I'm currently drafting book 5.
Yeah. That's crazy. Do you write as quickly as E.L. Montague? Yeah, just like, or is this
So
is this like you wrote over a long period of time and now you're all getting it out?
no. So what I did with Alone Together is they're essentially one continuous book,
Okay.
at least the way I wrote it. So I
Okay.
wrote Alone Together and I hit end, and before I even started editing it, I wrote the first half of Factions, and then I was like, I need to stop and edit the first book before I get too far because I didn't want to. What writing it that way allowed me to do was if I needed to change something because I needed to really pointed out for factions, I
Hmm.
was able to go back to Alone Together and do. And it actually really worked out because 3, I changed something very important in Alone Together, and the prologue is extremely important for book 3.
Hmm.
And I was able to change that and emphasize that so that if you really pay attention to the prologue and Alone Together, what happens and kicks off in book 3 isn't a surprise. Um, and that it just helps me do things like that, and especially at character development,
Yeah.
which is, I'm going to say Sinner's Past taught me a lot about character development and bringing the human emotion into it. I was able to set the foundations of who everybody is in Alone Together much better, writing this all as one continuous book. So,
Mhm.
I got the first round of edits done with Alone Together, and while my editor sat there with it, I finished Factions, and
Mm.
then I got the edits back on Alone Together, and I had to sit there and let it settle for a little while. And I started working on book 3, came back, changed everything along together. Sent that off for the finalization with drafting, or not drafting, I'm sorry, formatting. I don't do the formatting myself. I pay somebody to do it just because I suck
Mhm.
at if
Mm.
I format it, it's gonna look like trash. So I learned that early on. At least I
Yeah.
figured that one out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just wrote it as one continuous book, and it's helped a lot. Now, I didn't intend this, and I've said this before, but it's become the habit, and I think it's a really cool thing that I just kind of fell into in writing the Alone Together series is you get the main story, right? So everything between the prologue and the last chapter. But you get 2 additional stories depending on how you want to look at like the hierarchy of the world that's being developed. So your prologues in all the Alone Together series are going to give you a larger like step back of what's happening in the broader picture that's not necessarily directly impacting the characters yet.
Mhm.
And then your last chapter is always going to introduce the new problem that's going to come up in the next book.
So with Alone Together, did you set the first book as the event happened, or is it sort of 20 or 30 years down the track, or how did that all work out?
It's the first 48 hours of the world falling.
Okay,
Nice.
Yeah.
okay,
So
awesome.
Alone Together and Alone Together factions are the first few days of the collapse. Book 3, we go in a little bit further, about a month or and a half has passed by the time book 3 hits. And then book 4 follows just like the next couple days after book 3. And then book 5 will be about 4 to 5 months after book 4.
Okay, so the first 4 books are essentially, just in a week or two of when this all happened.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
that's something I saw from the forums that I mentioned earlier when I was digging around, like, hey, what do you hate? A
Mm.
common was they said like look, they either start you right in the apocalypse and they don't give you a believable reason on why, like the military doesn't just roll in and crush and kill everything,
Crush everyone. Yeah.
or they start you in the middle of the apocalypse so they don't have to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't worry, I
Yeah.
started in the military. I can tell you exactly how we'll screw this up. So that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say because the majority of authors that we've had on that have done like a post-apocalyptic story
Yeah.
have said it like 500 years after it happened, or 50 years after it happened, and then I always ask the question because I'm a completionist. Oh, do you describe a lot about what happened? Are you going to go back and write a prequel? And they're like, no. I was like, well, why?
You're just
It's like
picking
it's
on
like
Jamie right now.
You're picking on me,
Well,
man.
yeah, no. It's like the first thing I said to him, not yesterday, day before when I finished digesting is, oh, okay, so you've got a sequel to the prequel now. And he's like, oh, well, I'm kind of undecided. And in the back of my head, I'm like, just please do it because there's still a gap
There's a
that
huge
needs to be
gap.
filled um, between that. But yeah, but that's just the completionist in me.
Yeah.
When I play games, I do every mission, side
Yeah.
mission, main mission, everything. When I read,
Yeah.
like I read comics, I read so many comics every day. It's not funny. I just like to have all the information. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that your zombie book starts right bang at the event
Yeah.
happens. So thank you for catering to my needs.
Oh, I cater to it even more because there are short stories already on my blog that are tied to the Alone Together series,
Yeah.
and they start before the outbreak does. So like
Excellent.
You can
I
even
have
go
a
back.
report that just came out, and
Yeah, I actually think your website is one of the best websites that we've seen of all of the indie authors that we have had on. I
thank you
just
so much.
love the layout of it. I love, it's the extended universe kind of things. I absolutely love pretty much everything about it. So it's really well done. As someone with a bit of a computer background who used to build websites, I think it's really, really good. So I love
Thanks
the
so
way
much.
it's set out. Yeah, 100%. I just can't, you're catering to my completionist needs with all the extended universe stuff. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I'll also say, and I talked about this with Saffron on already. No, I'm sorry, on hers. It is called.
Idiosyncrasy?
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say the wrong podcast there for a second. She's going to get mad. Uh, it's I want to have hardcover books, but I feel really bad about how expensive hardcovers are
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
they just have to be expensive because the printing cost to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
after writing Sinner's Pass, I was like, I need to give people who are willing to get a hardcover something extra. So what I've done is if you get the hardcover of any of the Alone Together series, I put my short stories in the back.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
while they're free on my website, I wanted that for somebody like you who's like, oh, hey, I want to read everything, but I don't have $35 to blow on a hardcover. They can go there, get the short stories, and they're not missing
Mm.
anything.
Yeah.
But if you buy the hardcover, you get that, and I put artwork in the back of them.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's the only thing
Awesome.
you're probably missing is I don't share all the artwork, but it's I sometimes I use it for promotional stuff, so you're not missing too much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that to me before because what I do is I do all my reading digitally because if I bought all the books in physical copies of everything I read, I wouldn't have the room to store them. But if I read the book and I really, really, really like it, I will order a physical copy of it. So I'm glad you told me that before I got to that stage because now I will because I would have to buy both. I'd have to buy the paperback and the hardcover, but now I know I can just get the hardcover with the extra stuff.
Mm.
That's good to know as well.
Yeah, and I got to plug it. There's a great organization called the Crafty Bookstore. They're out there. I follow them on Instagram, but they uh, they really want to get indie authors, and one of the things that they offer is they'll sell your signed copies for you. So I don't
Okay.
know if that's a big thing for anybody listening, but you can go there, and if you have an indie author, check and see if they're on there. You can probably get a signed copy through that group. Because like a lot of the indie authors I follow, they're not anywhere near me, so it's very difficult for me to get signed copies. Not going to see them at an event anytime soon near me.
Mm.
And I have the Alone Together series on there.
Awesome. I'm just looking them up.
Awesome.
Before I forget. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. 'Cause that sounds like a cool store.
Yeah, they're awesome people. It's a little hustle
Yeah, and
life.
they're not overly expensive either. I'm just looking at the Sinner's Pass hardcover, signed hardcover, $34. So that's
US
pretty.
dollars probably.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
still, I was expecting US dollars, but that's still only about $50 for
Yeah.
for us. So, I mean, to me, if it's a book I really like, I'm gonna want to get a signed copy.
Yeah.
And for $50, with the bonus stuff, it's definitely worth the purchase.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm a little bit of a sucker for anybody who says that they're like they really want something. So people have reached out to me like and asked for stuff, and I'm like, yeah, just give me your address and I'd mail them things
Yeah.
because I'd rather somebody have my stuff. And I hate to say this, but like when I sell a hardcover through an actual verified purchase through my distributor for Center's Pass, I get 4 cents a copy.
Yeah,
I
it's
make less on my
ridiculous.
hardcovers than I do, and it's because I want it to be as cheap as possible for somebody
Yeah.
who really wants it.
Yeah.
So it's such a racket the way that the system works, but it is what it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah.
When it comes to somebody who really wants something, I'm not above just as long as they're willing to engage with me, I'll send them some.
Yeah.
Which is a polite way of saying, Ryan, if that's too expensive, just let me know. I'll mail you one.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I've got all my ebooks at 99 cents. It's just like read it.
Yeah.
And that people only ever read one of my books though.
Yeah,
Hey, I read
I
all
don't
of them.
No, well you do. You're my beta reader, so that's different. But
I
like,
want to be the alpha reader.
every podcast I've been on, it's always like I'm like, here's my new book, and they're going like, yeah, Emu War. It's just like it just happens. I think I gotta lean into that more. Um, that's my like number one seller.
I've been trying to figure out like the right way to do the series because again, Alone Together is my first series.
Mhm.
And I figured like I'll just keep reducing the price of the book one every time a new book comes out in the
Yeah,
hopes that like somebody who's like, I want to read it. And I just don't want to spend that amount. I'm like, okay, eventually it's going to be super cheap.
yeah,
And hopefully the whole series just keeps going that way. Like every time a new one comes out, the next one just gets reduced in
yeah,
price.
yeah.
I
Because
also do like giveaways like all the time. So
yeah,
like somebody who says that they, if they're like, yeah, these are just too expensive. Like if you just follow me on social, you'll see that I give it away like every 90 days.
yeah.
Just
Don't want to give
pick
away.
it
Yeah,
up.
that's it. That's a good way to do it. Um, so have you got any other? I know you're working on all the Alone Togethers, but is there anything else in the works that you're doing?
Yeah, so I do similar to you. I'm taking my swing at writing a fantasy. I actually started it before I started Alone Together, and that's when I stopped and I said, "Ooh, I don't think I'm ready for this level of work yet."
Hmm.
Uh, because I'm not a huge fantasy person, and I say that only because I don't like quick fixes to problems.
Hmm.
And it's too many, and I'm not gonna lie, Lord of the Rings is a book that I'm like, there's a quick fix to a lot of these problems. You guys just didn't use it. Uh, so I'm sorry, anybody out there. But I had to sit down and think about like, okay, what elements do I want to make this fantasy so that somebody who is a fan of fantasy will want to read it
Yeah,
without me getting so bogged down in a system that's overly complicated or
yeah,
not interesting for a reader. And then on top of that, series are a much larger animal to tackle than just a standalone novel was.
yep,
And I realized while trying to write that how complicated all the characters had to be and how complicated they had to remain for multiple books to tell the story. And then on top of that, I had to figure out how to craft a world, which is a type of writing all in of itself that didn't exist because a Full to Extinction very much set in current day modern technology with this one or two things that are just sci-fi. Sinner's Pass generally just our society with a paranormal element. Uh, Alone Together, obviously modern day. I don't think I say it in the book, but it's essentially set in 2024, so
Yeah.
not that far off from where we currently sit. And when I was writing this, I was like, okay, well, what time period do I want to tell? I'm not going to tell medieval because
Mm.
everybody tells medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
So I chose the 1600s because
Nice.
it is such a volatile time and nobody talks about that time period.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, everything's going on. You have the colonies all around the world, colonization's happening. You have political turmoil all across Europe. You have kingdoms and republics going at it. I was like, why don't I just take this and make it into a fantasy setting? Which then led me into, man, I have to write a political setting as well, along with my world building, along with whatever fantasy element I'm building, along with developing my characters.
Mm.
And I didn't have my current editor just yet, so I put it on the back burner. I have, I think, about 60,000 words of that written, and I'm probably gonna have to go back and rewrite all 60,000 of that because it's not where I currently am as a writer. So I can fix that, make it better. Um, I have a zombie, or not, excuse me, not a vampire series that I'm trying to write. I do have a short story that I've been like, do I want to share it? Do I not want to share it? Do I want to share it? That's tied to it. And the way I want to tell the vampire side is similar to how Lovecraft created his mythos around his world, where they're all kind of set in the same universe, but they're not necessarily directly linked to each other. Um, and I wanted to make it modern time period with these vampires, and it was heavily influenced by the movie The Thing because I absolutely love The
Yep.
Thing, I love
Mm.
the alien movie. So I have that book written, but it's so confusing because the way I put it was I set it on an oil rig and I got very, I don't, maybe I have autism. I don't know. I got very detail oriented about how the rig works and what everybody's job is. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like 20,000 words is just talking about life on an oil rig. Nobody wants to read this.
That's funny.
I think if there's another side project that I've had sitting out there. Uh, I do Birds with Words, which is my podcast. I interview authors periodically. I let them come on if they want to read one of their prologues or a short story. I also interview, similar to you guys, I'll interview just about anybody. So I had a game developer that came out, owner of One Eye Monsters, and we talked about Resident Evil recently. But I'll also take short stories that I've written and read them and put sound effects to them. I've had a lot of fun doing it. So
That's
those are all the things that are kind of like cooking in the background. I, and then I told you, I'm working with Sean Juste
yeah.
on A Killer Mind, so that'll be fun. I created the trailer for that as well.
I think we'll have to get him on because he was a huge fan of the Silent Hill, or was it no, was it Silent Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he tried to get the rights to them, didn't it?
Yeah, he actually, so he'll tell the story, but he essentially had it in the market that he was in. They didn't follow the right policy, so they had to revoke it once he wrote. He wrote, published it under Silent Hill, and then they had to revoke it because of
Mm.
that market didn't have all the trademarks for it.
Yeah.
He'll tell you the full breakdown of
Yeah.
it. He took it back, rewrote it, made it his own.
Yeah. So it's just changing all the hints of Silent Hill to something else. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I read it, and I was like, yeah, and he'll tell you the same
Yeah.
thing. Like if you're a fan of Silent Hill games, especially 1 and 2, when you read through it, you're like, yeah, this is Silent Hill just under a different name.
Yeah. He'll call it Quiet Mountain.
Yeah, Quiet Mountain or loud
Valley.
flatlands or something. Yeah,
Whispering
yeah.
Mound.
Yeah.
I I'm like you. I'm a massive fan of the Resident Evil games. I've played and finished all of them multiple times.
Mm.
I was into Silent Hill when they first came out when I was a lot younger, and then with when they did the remake of Silent Hill 2 last year or something,
Yeah.
I jumped on and I got that, and I've just gotten the new one, Silent Hill F, which is set in Japan.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen to. I've just got to finish the game I'm playing at the moment because I'm one of those people who I won't play two games at once.
Mhm.
I have to finish the first one. So once I finish what I'm playing, I'm keen to dive into Silent Hill F, which only came out like a week or two ago. But yeah, I love the Silent Hill games. I'm just waiting for a good movie to come out. Like the two movies that they did, they were good movies, but they just weren't good Silent Hill movies to me.
Yeah, it was weird because like the first movie, I was like, why did they start with the third game? That's
Yeah.
what I like. I sat down, I was like, I didn't know this was gonna start with game three, but okay. I hate to say that I haven't played the remake of Silent Hill, but I
Very
just don't have
good.
to get into video
Yeah.
games anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm not working at the moment. I was in hospital for 10 months last year, so I'm definitely working on my gaming side of things, which I didn't before. I used to work 7 days a week, so I never used to have time for games. But at the moment, I'm
Living the dream.
living the dream, playing video games and doing podcasts and reading a lot of books, which is pretty
Mm.
awesome at the moment.
Well, I hope that's a quick, speedy recovery for you, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm keen to. I used to be an Uber driver. My last job was an Uber driver, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm working on getting my license back
Mm.
so I can start doing Uber again, which I'm really looking forward to.
Mm. Cool. Well, what do you say we jump into this game that we always do now? Um,
Yeah, I like how you're not giving any
it's
choices anymore. It's just like
yeah.
we have
No,
to
well,
do
because
it.
we ask people and then they just keep playing the game, and the game is fun. And look, a lot of the Dark Veil Society people have been playing this game, so
Yeah.
it's.
Okay.
I'll bring up the graph so everyone can know what's going on.
And how many times did you say we had to do this game before you were going to change the numbering?
I don't know, man. I just keep making new graphs. I got new ideas just from just listening to this episode. So, and then what last episode we recorded, it was what was his name? Isaac Anderson said we should get
Isaac Gibson.
spinny wheels, and I'm going like, geez,
Yeah.
we don't have the budget for spinny wheels. So for now, we have a graph. So the game is
Now,
called
with this game, I think the best and quickest person we had was Molly McCabe.
yeah.
She literally just as soon as we gave her the scenario, she within 30 seconds she had her story and it made sense and it was good. And so yeah, you've got some competition in the Dark Veil Society there.
I got to figure out how to get a giant spider into it too. So,
No, well, that's
Ooh.
not how you're going to win the game, my friend. That's
Well, that's all
not
right.
how you're going to win the game.
All right. So just basically, you got to pick one and six for each category, and we'll give you a setting, a genre, a main character's profession, optional edition, but everyone does it anyway. Um, and then we give you the parameters, and you got to pitch us a story. You don't have to tell. Well, we had someone tell us the story. That was funny, but you don't
Yeah.
have to. It's just like brainstorming, pitch us a story, and
Just a general synopsis of what
yeah,
the story will be.
a back cover blurb essentially.
Yeah.
getting
So,
the pen and paper out.
so I'm writing them down too. So, um, give us a number between one and six for setting.
6,
Okay, give us the same for genre.
6,
Six and main character.
6.
Oh, are you going to change it now? Because if you go one more, it won't be the devil's number anymore. What's optional edition?
1.
One. 661. All right. Graph number one. Okay, so well, your setting is a small country town.
Okay.
And your genre is comedy.
Your main character's profession is a historian.
And your optional edition, which is something that must appear in the story, is an urban legend figure. So it can be any urban legend that exists or one that you want to make up.
Okay, so he's a historian.
He's a historian in a small country
Mhm.
town with a urban legend figure, and it's got to be a comedy.
Okay. It is set around 33 AD
Okay.
Mhm.
in the Roman Empire in the northern area. There is a gentleman, not quite yet a count, named Dracula. Already got the optional in there. And he wakes up one morning, stretches out, gets ready to feed on the peasants, and he goes to look at his Roman manuscripts and he touches a lowercase t and it burns, and he doesn't know why. And the story is going to be about how Dracula now has to figure out why lowercase t's suddenly burn. And it's going to be his journey out of the Roman Empire into the Middle East to find out that some guy got nailed to a cross and now crosses burn him.
That is
Directed
brilliant.
by Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
That's what story pitch is all about. And we've been giving authors new ideas for the next books.
Yeah, that's it. I just love that Molly weaves Janelle Shiki into the story as well.
Yeah, I know. Because she picked urban legend, and you said, oh, you can use the Clutter Man if you want. She's like, I am.
We're doing it. Oh, okay. That was quick, man. That was quick. All right, let's get round two because this is way too fun. You can give us the same numbers because it's a different graph we're going off, or you can choose entirely new ones.
So are we going off the second one, Jamie?
Second one, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let's do 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, I like twos today.
Quad 2. Okay. So your setting is a skyscraper.
Your genre is sci-fi.
Your main character is a paranormal investigator.
And the optional addition that you must have in the story is emus.
Okay. There is a rash of killings in the newly constructed Freedom Tower, which is, if you're not American, that's the tower that was replaced the Twin Towers
Mhm.
in, let's say 2355. An AI has started to replace the dating pool, and the population is dwindling. And at the same time, there is a rash of murders of the male population. And it is up to our one investigator to find out why these murders are happening around this skyscraper. Everybody is blaming AI, but there is one key element that ties them all together that nobody can figure out or understand. And that is an emu claw mark is found on all the dead bodies. It's going to end up being a ghost of an emu from the Emu War.
Getting
One of
revenge
the
on.
six that they killed.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
Oh, geez, this is the best game. I love this game. You're too good, man.
We have one more graph, and this is hard mode. So do you
Oh.
want to play hard mode for a final chance?
Send it.
Okay, cool.
I don't really think it's hard mode all that much. There's just things in there that make it ridiculous, but all right, what numbers do you want?
I'm going to go in numeric order. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so your setting is a community radio station.
Your genre is cyberpunk.
Okay, your main character is a janitor.
And your optional extra, which is something that must appear in this story, is Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural.
This is great because this is going to be a sequel to the last one that we just told.
This happens all the time.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Sam and Dean are showing up to investigate why the emu murderers have moved on to a radio station in a small town. And their one link is their main character for the story, the local night shift janitor at the radio station. See, I already got it. You said it was going to be hard.
I know. I just say it's hard mode, but if you pick the right numbers or the wrong numbers, it will get hard. That was really quick.
We haven't had anyone pick the wrong numbers yet.
Well, we get a lot of same numbers, like it's just people think differently, or similarly.
Has anybody picked triple sixes yet?
No.
No.
I don't want to burn through your guys' time, but I have a short story to tell you guys.
Okay.
So since I was in high school, triple sixes follow me around, and I just consider I don't associate it to anything. I'm religious, but I'm not that like paranoid religious. I don't associate it. It's just a coincidence, and it's one of those things like if you pay attention to it enough, you start noticing it around. But it started with my homecoming ticket when I was a freshman. When I got assigned to it, and I went to a Catholic school of all places, and I got assigned it, and it was triple sixes, which I thought was really weird because my locker number as a freshman was triple sixes at a Catholic school. So I was like, okay, this is just really weird. So I transitioned my sophomore year. I go to a public school, and they just got done reinstalling their locker system, and I got reassigned my locker, and I got the triple sixes at this public school again. Like that is really weird. So my junior year comes around, and juniors aren't allowed to pick their parking spaces. You get assigned one. You can pick like the area of the school you want to be in, but they're going to assign it. So there was one area that I knew all my classes were going to be in. So I said, I hope I get in that area. And they're like, okay. And I got 666 as my parking spot.
Oh,
like,
wow.
This is really, really weird. So the next year they repaint the parking lot, and I'm a senior. I'm allowed to pick my spot. Now they don't have the numbers yet. So they just like, here's all the spots, put your name on it. And I put my name where I wanted it. And I got triple sixes again. That was the same spot that they wanted to put sixes. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is just bad luck.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I go through my officer training, and we're class 600. So everybody's number starts with 6. And I was 66. So my number was triple sixes in my class for my officer training. Like, this is just really weird on everything you have to do. So now, I get out, I join my company, and I get a company assigned phone, and we have the area code, and then you get your 3 digits and then your 4 digits. And my 3-digit code for my company phone is triple sixes. Yeah. So now I have to bring this up. Well, there's one more in between that before I tell this part of it. So I attend to this, I want to call it Twitter. It's X now. There's a podcast that I joined through them called Characteristics, and they decided that they were going to schedule it on June 6th of this year at 6 o'clock. I was like, okay, so June 6th at 6 o'clock. So I get triple sixes onto their show. I bring this up and I tell them the same story about everything that happened with them. And we just like you guys, like, okay, yeah, you triple sixes follow you around. Well, this last Monday, I had to travel for work, and I'm one of those type of people that like certain things I'll just drive into the ground. I refuse to spend money on it, and phones are one of them.
Yeah.
It's like I will not buy a new phone until my phone is absolutely falling apart. Well, I'm driving, and my phone's battery has been having issues, and it starts like draining while it's on the charger. And it gets to the point where like I'm halfway to where I need to go for work, and I'm like, my phone's not going to make it. And I don't want to wait to get back using just my work phone, because my work phone only has a couple key contacts in it. So I stop at a Verizon store, get my new phone. And because the way that the contract was working, I didn't want to use the insurance. But what they were able to do was, instead of me trading in my phone, what they did was they wrote it off as a loss, and they gave me a new line, which made it so I got a new phone with it without having to change anything. But to do that, they had to give me a new phone number. And instead of trying to screw me and make it confusing for everybody, what they did was they put the new phone number on my old phone and my old phone number on my new phone. So I technically have 3 phone numbers now assigned. And the other phone number I'm just not going to use. It didn't change my overall monthly payment, so I didn't care. So I'm working like before this call, trying to get everything updated on my account. And I looked at the phone number they assigned me, and it also has triple sixes. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I have 2 phone numbers now that have triple sixes at the beginning. Everybody makes fun of it when I call them. They're like, I thought the devil was calling me because you have 666 when it comes in.
Maybe it just meant you were meant to write horror.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I was doing that like right before this call, and I was like, there's no way that triple sixes just follow me around like this. I
Well,
gotta. I
we'll
don't
remember. We'll remember that. We'll have you on in June 6th next year. So June 6th, 26th. We'll have you on to keep up that tradition.
I
How
appreciate it.
many words? How many words is all the alone together is going to be? Is it going to be 666,000 words?
Oh Lord, man! If it came out of something like that, I would start just playing the lottery and betting on triple sixes every time.
Oh, but then you'd find out it'd be like that number in Lost. You
Lost.
know,
Yeah.
get you killed.
Oh, at least, I mean, at least it's a good number to die to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a blast. It's been
Yeah,
a
thank you.
long one.
You know, something about every time somebody invites me on, they're like, God, you talked the longest. I guess my wife just doesn't let me talk in the house, so I gotta
Yeah, no,
get somebody else.
it's cool. It makes for good viewing. Makes for good viewing. So
Definitely.
what we're going to do is we're going to give you the floor, plug what you want, speak to our audience, and where can they follow you? Where can they buy your books? And anything you want to say, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so my name's Sean Fitzgerald, and I spell it correctly, Shaun. Not to be confused with the lovely Sean Juice, although when we get together, it becomes a Sean sandwich. That being said, I write under SS Fitzgerald. You can find my website at ssfitzgerald.net. I keep the same tag on all my socials. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, SS Fitzgerald, it's there. Same lovely picture. So there's no confusion for you guys. I am on X. That's probably the second best place to follow me if you're not on my newsletter. I am on Instagram as well, although I won't lie, you're going to get spammed on my storyline. So just be prepared for a lot of really cool zombie themed stories on there. That being said, I do have a Substack, which if you like book giveaways, that's the best place to follow me. Once again, it's SS Fitzgerald. Find me on X or on my website. You can absolutely just join me through there. And I just want to say, don't forget, not only do I have all these lovely books, you can also get free stories on my website.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'll put all the links down in the show notes, guys. And yeah, thanks for listening. If you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com, or reach out on our socials. We would love to hear from you. We love supporting indie authors. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Rebecca Castles and Martin Kearns. And until next time, keep supporting those indie authors, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
See you next time.